Welcome in to Prize Picks on 5, the show here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network that helps you play the best daily fantasy game, gives you an idea about who to play what night, who to pair together. Again, you can play Prize Picks on just about any sport. They just added a new golf platform today that you got to check out. We will get to that another day. But today we're going to focus on the NBA Finals. We've got Game 4 coming up here between the Bucks and the Suns. Bucks are down 2-1 in this series. Giannis has been unbelievable in the past 2 games, and now he gets 2 days rest with that knee, which should certainly help. I've got David Eversole. You can follow him at David W. Eversole on Twitter. I've got our guy David Friedman. You can follow him all kinds of places on Twitter. I'll let him answer that because it seems like the accounts are always changing. We know him as Talk About Sports. But let's get to it, guys. I'll start with you, Mr. Eversole. What do you think tonight? Who are you playing over and under?
Well, tonight I'm looking for some value, especially on the rebounding side. I'm looking at Bridges under 4 rebounds. If you look at his last few games, I don't think he's made that number even once. So I'm feeling pretty solid about that. If you look at it, he's made that number only 1 in the last 5 games. Other than that, he's been even under 3 rebounds. So I think Bridges under 4 boards is a pretty safe bet for me tonight.
All right, so Bridges under 4 boards for the Suns, going under. I sometimes have trouble playing the unders because I don't like rooting against the guy to hit a certain number. I guess it's just psychological. Mr. Friedman, what do you like?
So I'm actually going Cam Johnson over 3 rebounds. It's one of those plays that we've talked about where it's like his floor is 3. You know, he's been getting above that. And he seems like he's all over the place right now. Ever since Sarge went down, I think he kind of kicked it up a notch. So he's been on the boards. I think that's a solid prized pick. We kind of already forgot the bit here.
Yeah, that is a prized pick. I'm sorry. We got a prized pick. So Eversole's prized pick, he gave it to you already. He went under. You go over on Cam Johnson. There you can see the past 5. Of course, you can call these up and make sure that you have them listed. I'm going to go with DeAndre Ayton tonight over. They have been a much better team, the Suns have, when he's been on the floor. I'm going to go over on points, 16.5 for DeAndre Ayton. I actually thought it might have been a little higher. You take a look at it. Obviously, he's a little bit dependent on the guards getting him the ball, particularly Chris Paul. But they really haven't had anybody who can match up with him in this series on a consistent basis. And so I think he goes over tonight. I actually think the Suns are going to steal this game tonight. They feel to me still like the better team in this series. And typically when you have these 2-1 series, that 4th game is the one that the better team steals to go back home. So I'm going to go with them tonight. So that is my prize picks, 8 prize pick, Ayton over 16.5 points. Anything else that you guys are sort of targeting here?
I personally actually did something a little different today. I don't typically start off the night doing a first half entry. I kind of like some first half numbers, so I ended up throwing one in there. The obvious is Giannis on points. He's at 17.5. I mean, maybe it's not so obvious on that over, but I took the over there. Middleton, I mean, to me, like, all right, so we're waiting for the Middleton game where he kind of wakes up a little bit. And I'm not saying the Suns don't win the game, but doesn't Middleton have to show up at some point? So yeah. I have him over 12.5 points to start the game. I just think they feed him the ball early and try to get him going. I like that first half. DeAndre Ayton, I did over 8.5 points. I'm with you on that. I feel like what happens is they get him involved pretty early. Chris Paul feeds him the ball early, and then towards the end of the game, it's Booker and Chris Paul. So right. I like the first half on him. Devin Booker at 13.5 over, just because again, same thing with Middleton. It's like they got to get him going. And Pat Connaughton over 8.8 fantasy points. He's been doing a lot for them. He's been hitting threes, getting some rebounds, assists. So I like him on the over 8.8.
All right, and remember, I should have mentioned this many times at the beginning. The reason this show is called Prize Picks on 5, you've got to use the code 5. You got to use the code 5. I should have been hammering that before we got to the 5th minute here. I'm with you on the first half stuff. I do think that that's something that people should take a look at. We don't promote that enough. But a lot of times, again, big men do tend to get involved earlier in the game. And then when you have a team that's guard heavy, the guards later. Also, big men tend to get in foul trouble, which sometimes hurts.
And I'm big,
like I
jump in on second half lineups all the time because to me, there's an advantage to see how the first half of the game is playing out compared to the game before with the adjustments, and you kind of get a feel for it. Is Devin Booker hot? Is Chris Paul hot? So I really do throw a lot of second half lineups in successfully.
Mr. Eversole, what are you thinking here? Something else?
Well, yeah, I like this Brook Lopez number. Actually, I like him for the first half, that 5.5 points, and I think he's at 11.5 for the 11 points for the game. Excuse me. Another guy who's been really consistent on the assists is Middleton. I like him over 5.5 assists for the game. As you look at the breakdown, he's been over 6 assists, or at least at 6 assists 4 out of the last 5 games. I think that's a pretty good play, and I'm always looking for those friendly, like kind of fluke. So Bobby Portis, half a 3-pointer, get it while you can because they might sneak that up to 1. And then PJ Tucker, 1 3-pointer made. He's done it every single game. So in worst case, I mean, looking at recent, it's a push. But I like this Portis over half a 3. He kind of alternates game to game, but it's a 50-50 shot. So I think him hitting 1 3 is definitely doable tonight. So any of those little small friendly 3-point plays, I'm all over those also.
All right, so check out
we're all in agreement that the Giannis numbers across the board pretty much over. Maybe there's some stuff here and there, but the fantasy, he's going to go off again, right?
I think so. Yeah, I do think so. I think he's figured it out and he's gotten healthy. And I don't think, again, we talk about answers. Jay Crowder, for all the talk about Jay, and I respect Jay, I mean, there is no Giannis stopper necessarily if Giannis is getting downhill. Which he has been. So I do think over on him. But to be honest with you, he's not my favorite play tonight. I like the Middleton play better than the Giannis play. I do think we're due for one of those. Make sure you use the code 5, FIVE. That's the way that you get that big bonus. We'll be back for Game 5.